It's up to the brothers to bring peace back to Concordia. Can Mario and Luigi reconnect the scattered islands and the hearts of Concordia's residents? Experience the bond between brothers and beyond. Mario and Luigi Brothership. Available November 7th, only on the Nintendo Switch system. Prepare to set sail with pre-orders. Available now on Nintendo eShop.
Howdy guys, I hope you all are enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend. I got another Bladeslinger vlog for you, and today we're talking Mario and Luigi Brothership. So if you guys have kept up with the YouTube channel, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Mario RPGs. Well, I feel like most of them are fine games in their own right. I'm just not the biggest fan of RPGs to begin with, and the fundamental nature of the Mario RPGs just doesn't do it for me a great deal. But then again, I've only played a handful of them. Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and Paper Mario and a Thousand Years Doors. They're all just fine. They're just not games that I find particularly titillating. However, the exception there would have to be Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, which is definitely one of my favorite RPGs. Whereas the other Mario RPGs felt like just basic RPGs with a Mario paint job. Mario and Luigi actually felt like a Mario RPG, if that makes sense. It felt like they actually incorporated the platforming, the movement of a Super Mario game into the battle system in a meaningful way, whereas the other Mario RPGs are just bare bones RPGs with a fancy coat of paint. So because of that, I was interested when I saw that a new Mario & Luigi game was coming out. Now, I haven't had a chance to play the other Mario & Luigi games, haven't been able to play Partners in Time, Bowser's Inside Story, or the Luigi's Dream Factory, or whatever it's called. But with this one coming out, I wanted to at least give it a shot because I really did like Superstar Saga. And I can't really say how this compares to the rest of the rest of the Mario & Luigi series, but Brothership didn't really do it for me. Now, that's not to say that Mario & Luigi Brothership is a bad game. It's just another Mario RPG as far as I'm concerned. In the game, Mario and Luigi, as well as later we find several other residents of the Mushroom Kingdom, have been sucked into another world known as Concordia, I think it is. It's mostly a water world, and it used to be made up of a bunch of islands that were held together by a magic tree in the main island. Unfortunately, a calamity occurred that caused all the items to be separated, and now Mario and Luigi agreed to help one of the residents bring the islands back together, while also searching for a way to get back home and later defeat a villain who is causing trouble in Concordia. So part of the reason I got into Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga so much was because of the plot. Now, it's not that the plot in Superstar Saga was particularly good. It was fundamentally basic. But what I enjoyed about it was how fast-paced it was, and more importantly, how funny it was. Super Mario, why do I keep saying that? Superstar Saga is just one of the funniest games I've ever played. And when you pair that with its pacing, it almost feels like an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where it's just non-stop jokes, and I couldn't get enough of it. It was so much fun. And that's sort of the problem I have with the plot of Brothership. For starters, the pacing here is just really slow. It's a while before even the villain is introduced, so when you first start playing the game, it's not really stakes, it's just Mario and Luigi in a new world. And even when the stakes are established, when you're actually fighting the villains, Bowser and all those people, it still isn't anywhere near as much fun as it was in Superstar Saga, simply because it's just not as funny as it used to be. The story itself just kind of feels like it's slogging along, and that is just detrimental for the experience. I was bored playing it, and if when I'm bored playing a video game, I'll often put something on the TV. So yeah, the plot didn't really do it here for me. Definitely a downgrade from Superstar Saga. As for the presentation, I definitely have mixed feelings about it. In regards to the cel-shaded art style that they use here, I actually think it works really well. It looks pretty similar to the old to Superstar Saga, and I would say it looks more like the Game Boy game as opposed to the 3DS remake, which got a little too dark for my taste. So I'm glad that they're able to get that colorful, cartoony vibe across in 3D. However, the main thing people seem to be criticizing with this game is the performance. Load times in this game are pretty long, and even when cutscenes and stuff like that do load, it does have a tendency to chug. And honestly, I'm getting tired of a lot of people saying that this is a sign that Nintendo needs to retire the Switch and put out their successor, when that's not really the case. The main reason Mario Brothership runs like this is because it's using Unreal Engine 4, which hasn't really had a good track record on the Nintendo Switch. They also used it for Princess Peach Showtime, which it came out this year actually, and it had similar performance issues. A lot of people say that you just need to retire the console. No, this game doesn't look anywhere near as good as Super Mario Odyssey. Doesn't look anywhere near as good as Breath of the Wild, and all those games ran much better. It's more or less that developers want to use a specific, easy-to-use engine to make games instead of picking one that would work better on the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, the performance is a pain in the butt, but it's not as bad as a lot of people say it is, and I have a feeling it's going to get patched soon too. But yeah, I think the presentation is pretty good. The music is bouncy and lively, the sound effects are impactful and satisfying. I do wish there was some voice acting in there, but you know, Nintendo is always hesitant to do that, so can't really give them too much flack for that. As for the gameplay, so for those of you who have never played a Mario and Luigi game, how the battle system works is that you basically control the brothers with the two buttons, the A button for Mario and the B button for Luigi. And what I like about this system is that it addresses one of the big issues I've always had with RPGs. Particularly turn-based RPGs where after you conduct an attack and an enemy attacks you, you just kind of watch your character stand there and take the hit, which always really bugged me because if you've ever been in a fight before, like a boxing match or something, you know you aren't just taking turns punching each other. If someone throws a punch at you, you're either going to try to block it or dodge it, but you have no control of your character at that point. But in Mario and Luigi, when you're on defense, when the enemy is attacking you, you still have a chance to dodge their attack. So, like Mario and Luigi, like with the button presses, you can cause them to jump over attacks, dodge them, maybe deflect them with hammers and stuff like that. It's really satisfying gameplay, and like again, it kind of works the timing of platforming into it better than any other Mario RPG. And I'm happy to say that it's done reasonably well in Mario Brothership. I don't think they made any drastic changes to the overall combat system here, with one major deviation. In Superstar Saga, you had your basic attach, which was just jumping and the hammer. But then you had bro moves, which are these synchronized super moves where Mario and Luigi conduct a more elaborate attack together. For whatever reason, they decided to remove bro moves entirely, so now your basic attacks are what would have been the bro moves in other games. It's also a while before you get the hammer. If I recall correctly with Superstar Saga, you had the hammers from the get-go, and that just made sense for Mario and Luigi. And then over time, you would get new abilities, particularly with the bro moves, and the concept was that over time, Mario and Luigi's their teamwork would get better, which is why they would unlock new abilities, which I thought was a cool concept. But that's not in Mario Brothership, and considering that you get all your different combat options really slowly, it does kind of add to the slow pace of Mario and Luigi. It isn't until a couple hours into the game where the real complexity of the combat system starts to come into play. One thing that they try to put a little more focus on in this game is exploration. So essentially how it works is the main hub, the ship Mario and Luigi find themselves on when they enter it, that's your basic hub world, and you sail around on these set paths, and then you go to different islands. Then you basically have to explore that island until you find the lighthouse, which will then connect it to the hub island, and then from there you can freely go back and forth between the two items, whereas initially you would have to use a cannon to get there. So as you play the game and you go to different islands, you're basically just making your own island bigger. And you know what? That is a interesting way to demonstrate progression, and the game even encourages you to revisit older islands for side missions and stuff like that. But I don't know, just exploring the overworld just was never as much fun as it was in a Superstar Saga. In Superstar Saga, like, a lot of it revolved around using all these cool moves that Mario and Luigi could do in, with their teamwork, like jumping to higher ledges, hovering in the air to get over large gaps, stuff like that. And again, that stuff is in the game, but like, you don't get access to it until several hours into the game. And again, that's just a slow pace. Like, that is just the biggest issue with Brothership. Its pace is just painfully slow. And like, once things get going, it is a lot of fun to play. But again, initially those first several hours are going to feel like a major slog. And it also doesn't help that this is a pretty long game in general as well. So yeah, I would have preferred this game just be shorter in general, considering like how good the pacing was in Superstar Saga. Again, Superstar Saga wasn't a terribly long game, and it's still regarded as one of Nintendo's best. It just seems to me like the developers thought that they need to make this game last as long as possible, because, prices are going up, but, it's a Nintendo Switch game. It's not being sold for an unreasonable price. I don't know. I just was really bored playing Brothership a lot of the time. It's not like I wasn't having fun at times, but considering the nature of the game, it just got repetitive so quick. As for the difficulty, you can probably gather that your biggest enemy here is going to be your own attention span. I had to put something on my laptop just to keep my mind going as I was playing, so that's never a good sign. So I would say the game unfortunately gets a little boring, but again, there is a lot of content. There's over 20 hours of gameplay that you can get out of this, and definitely more if you choose to do all the side content. I feel like this is probably the longest Mario RPG that has come out so far. And at $60 a pop, the game is worth it. But again, I don't think the great length is a benefit here. It seems more like a detriment, if you ask me. But again, I feel like my opinion of Brothership, no matter how much of the game I play, is always going to be a little incomplete. And that's primarily because I just haven't played all the Mario RPGs. The next game on the list would be Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, and it's going to be a while before I get to that. It definitely would have been better to have Steffi take a look at this, because she knows more about this than I do. But from my perspective as is, Brothership is just okay. If you're a fan of the Mario and Luigi series, I would definitely say it's worth checking out. But anyone else, I would recommend just getting a subscription to Nintendo Switch Online and checking out Superstar Saga. But yep, that's my thoughts on that game, guys, and I'll see you next time.